We're going to be talking about something really important today that may be impacting your professionalism, and that's social media. Now, I basically identified 3 ways that I think your professionalism is impacted on social media, and particularly Facebook is what I'm thinking about today, although it depends on the type of social media that you might be utilizing in other areas of your life as well. So let's talk about number 3. Number 3 is playing games. You know, on these social media sites, there's all kinds of little games and quizzes and things like that you can take. Some of them are funny, some of them are questionable. Some of them, I just wonder why people are wasting their time. However, not all of these games are as innocent as they look either. Some of these games are asking for, places that you've traveled. Where were you born? What's your birth month? What's your sign? All of this information that you're giving out is allowing others to be a little bit more knowledgeable about who you are, what you've done, who your family is, and some of the people that might be watching are cyber criminals. They take this information, they use algorithms, and perhaps figure out some of your passwords to influence other people that they know you and therefore they are credible and you can trust them with information. So these games are not always as innocent as they look. Other ways it can impact your professionalism are the type of games that you find yourself playing. What kind of beer would you be? What kind of caveman husband would you have? Who knows? There are any number of these kinds of games that, again, make people think or question who you are, what your mind dwells on. Is it really of value? Does it really paint a picture of the professional person you want your identity to be all about? Number 2 is forwarding or reposting comments and pictures that others might have sent you or that you've come across. Now, you may not be the stripper on the pole, but just in the fact that you have shared it yourself because you think it's funny or you've made some kind of comment about it, or even if you're being derogatory, just the fact that you have spent your time and your mind space on this kind of a social post makes your professionalism a bit questionable. So before you forward anything that somebody sends you or comes across on your feed, think about, what does this say about you when you share it with others? What do they think about where you spend your time and what you find of value? Number 1 that has the greatest influence on impacting your professionalism on social media is posting inappropriate pictures, inappropriate or strong language, and political extremism. These 3 things in particular can completely derail your professionalism, especially if you are an emerging leader, someone that is looking for greater executive leadership power, or a CEO who's looking to expand their influence in their next season of life. Let me share some examples. I work with a lot of board of directors, in particular in the nonprofit world. Therefore, I'm very interested in how philanthropic organizations choose which companies and other associations they give their money to. And what I have found in talking to them and in researching is they are looking for people who, 1, are going to protect the reputation of their company. So one of the things they do is they do refer to social media to look at the organization's board of directors, and they look at how they conduct themselves because they recognize if their company, their logo, has any kind of social presence with this other organization, they want to know who's representing them. So they'll look and see, oh my, they see people who are partying it up. They see people who are sitting drunk somewhere. They see people who are on political rampages, criticizing whole groups of people. They see inappropriate pictures and this can go on and on. It's very embarrassing sometimes for people to go back and look at their presentation of themselves through the eyes of other groups. And that's one thing I highly recommend you do. Go into your Facebook or other social media and put on the eyes of a board of directors, put on the eyes of your employees, put on the eyes of your subordinate or the people who might be looking to hire you in the future. And think about, just if they knew you from your social media, what kind of picture would they paint of who you are? Recently I had a conversation with somebody that said they're having a terrible time trying to get people to work for them. And I understand that, because that is one of the catastrophes from COVID, however that came about. It just, people are having a terrible time trying to find workers everywhere, not in just one specific area. However, if you are an employee who's looking for a job, you pretty much have your choice nowadays. And if you go onto social media and you look at your different employers that are out there, and you see somebody who's going on cruises, who's spending money right and left, who's buying this, who's showing off their designer bags, who is drunk all the time, who is bragging about everything that they bought, how likely are you to want to work for somebody, especially when you know how hard you're going to have to work just to allow that person to showcase their life in that way on social media? Probably not. And certainly as a board member, that's not somebody you want to represent your brand. So if you are an emerging leader, or if you are an executive looking for greater influence, or a CEO that's looking for an opportunity outside of their current business, what do you do then with this social media? So let's go back and use those 3 categories, and let me share some ideas with you. So number 3, playing those games. Well, rather than playing games and wasting your time there, why don't you use your time to think of some ways to encourage people? Do a little bit of education, do a little bit of entertaining while you're at it. Once you promote or post these kinds of educational, entertaining, uplifting kinds of posts, you become an influencer in that person's life. And they're going to look to you for an uplifting moment. They're going to reach out or search you out in the future to find out how you can make them feel better, what they can learn from you. Much better use of your time on social media. Number 2, rather than forwarding any kind of questionable social media posting, leave that for people who don't know better. And instead, look for things that are really of value to other people, specific people. So if you come across a post that you know would enrich somebody's life, or bring meaning to them, or give them comfort in some way, forward that to them. You could share it in a general way if it's applicable to many people, or you might want to send it on Messenger. But this says to them, I was thinking of you. I recognize you have a need, and I am bringing value to your life. Let me gift this to you. So again, a much better way of using posts, forwarding posts on social media to influence you, to change your identity, to make you the influencer that you want to be in the future. And number 1, promote this new identity of who you are, and paint the picture, not of maybe who you are right now, but who you are wanting to be in the future. I am a big fan of James Clear and the Atomic Habits. And one of the quotes that he has in his book, every action is a vote for the person you want to become. That is a very powerful quote. And I have that sitting on my desk so I can see it and refer to it all the time. When I want to procrastinate, when I want to be judgmental about somebody, then I just look over at this quote and remember, that's not the identity I want you all to have of my professionalism. So I'm creating this identity by using my actions as a vote to become the person I want to be, and you all will feel is worthy of feeding into your professional life. So what do you think? Does this resonate with you? Does it make sense? Put your comments below and let's have a little conversation about using social media to influence our professionalism rather than derailing it. This is your season to create your new identity, and it's your choice.